Hey friends, it's Amber and Garrett from Dynamics and Gear Glasses and Gadgets. And today we wanted to show you what is in our bag for wedding films. So this is all we take to a wedding. We bring this and a canvas bag that has all of our support gear, monopods, tripods, light stands, etc. So,
yeah, it's been a while since we've done a What's in Our Bag, few years. So we thought since we've really condensed even more, we'd show you exactly what's in here. So you ready to get started?
Well, I wanted to say one thing really quickly. Yes, this is a very small kit. And we used to be the type of people that had Pelican case upon Pelican case.
Yes.
We had all the things that you could think of. And it was literally stressing us out so much on a wedding day.
Especially me, because I have a lot of ADD, not just a little bit, and I would suffer from what's called, or what Amber aptly named, option paralysis, where I would look at all my options and I had 3 Pelican cases full of options and I couldn't zone in on what I wanted to do because I was thinking about all the variables that I could do. And by having that much time and missing the moments, I thought to myself, told Amber, something has to change. So let's.
Yeah. So as we started traveling, of course, more and more as well, we decided like we're just going to pare this down to exactly what we need. So everything in here and in our canvas bag is exactly what we need to shoot a wedding. And we know when and how we're going to use each piece.
Yes.
So each piece, everything that is in here is used on a wedding day. And we have a rule that
if it doesn't fit in the bag, I don't get to bring it, which I've almost broke the rule a couple times. But if it does not fit in, or let's say on the bag, because we do have a Rhino Gear motorized slider that does sit on top of the bag when we're rolling around. But by doing this, I love it that if one of us is shooting something and another one needs to go and set up for the reception or ceremony, one person can take everything with them. So we don't have to have 2 people carrying gear.
Yes. All right. So I think, Garrett, it is now ready. We are ready to open this up. This is a Think Tank Airport Security version 2.
Version 2.
So go ahead and open it up.
And we have beat this thing up. It's been overseas. It's been to different countries. On the outside, right here, you'll see this is the Pilot Fly.
Adventurer?
And I think it's called the Adventurer. It's one of their new gimbals. And as we go through this, I may not remember the names of everything or the model numbers, so we will have a link in the description below with all of that in there. But this is a great gimbal because it's a single-handed gimbal, but I added the two handles on it, which has these springs in it, so that you can not have to do the ninja walk, if you're trying to walk with a single-handed gimbal. I'm not really good at that, so this really helps me as I'm walking. It absorbs my walking motion, just makes my life a lot easier.
Right. So this Think Tank bag we've had it for several years, and we kind of want the new version, but we're waiting for this one to fail. And it won't.
It hasn't failed yet.
We have beat it up. We've filled it to the brim, and
bounced it downstairs.
It has not failed. So.
Right.
I mean, we love this Think Tank bag, and I really do want either the version 3 of this, which this is airport carry-on compatible for domestic, and I want the version 3, or I want one of the videos ones. But
okay,
anyway,
so where should we start?
I think we should start at the beginning. So like whenever we start shooting a wedding, I generally shoot the bride prep. So what I'm gonna go in with is, currently I'm using the A7R3, and I generally use, like 99% of the time, I use the 70-200 G Master. This is one of my all-time favorite setups. You will see me using this 99%.
Most of the day, yeah.
I would say like 90% of a wedding day.
I was so happy when we got this package in the mail. We were waiting for the 7200 G Masters forever at that 2.8, and I'm on it quite a bit during the day, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, you're on this like most of the time.
90%. And I also like to use a battery grip because I am a very heavy shooter. Let's say I shoot a lot more than Garrett does generally, so I like to have the battery grip with my camera as well. Yeah. And so I'm generally using this on a monopod for most of the run and gun stuff, and then once we get to ceremony or reception toast, anything that's long form, I'm gonna lock it down on one of our Sue-Ray tripods. So then most of everything else in this bag is what Garrett uses, and we did say he has ADD, so he has options.
I will say that a lot of people ask you, like, how can you shoot the whole day on the widest you can go is 70, and the way we shoot, especially the bride prep, we're not shooting 35 or 24 millimeter because we don't really want to shoot the whole room most of the times for the prep. You shoot a lot of the details.
Right.
So like you're going in, getting the earrings going on, you're getting a lot of almost like teaser frames and video of what's happening, and you just really get in there and get tight. And it also helps you with the 7200 shoot around. If you're working with a photographer, you know, you both have to get in there and get the same shot. And if they're on a 35 millimeter and they're, you know, really in close, you can usually get around them and shoot right past them with 7200. Okay, I digress.
And then not only that, but the way we shoot and the way we've worked out how to shoot as a couple is I'm always on this and Garrett's generally on a wide or a gimbal or something.
Right.
So he's getting, I mean, he's probably getting the more creative shots, but I am also, I'm getting creative shots as well, but he's getting like the motion shots, you know, on the gimbal, the slider, the ultra wides and things like that. So we've just balanced it out to where we both have specific roles for each part of the day.
Yep.
All right, so whenever you go into groom prep, we'll just talk about that stuff later.
Okay, yeah, when I go to groom prep, and sometimes if the guys aren't doing anything, I'll even help Amber with a few shots. I was using the G Master 24-70 for quite a while, was my favorite lens. Then I started playing around with the, it's not a new lens, but it's the Sony Zeiss 50 millimeter 1.4, and this is my bread and butter. This is what I absolutely love shooting with. To me, 50 millimeter is just the perfect focal length for what I do, and that combined with the Super 35 shooting mode and also the clear image zoom, I can really do a lot with it and get some amazingly creamy bokeh at that one.
What camera are you using?
I am using a Sony a7 III. Ever since this came out, I'm just enamored with the capabilities it has. I had the A9, we just sold it not too long ago because I wanted some of those video picture profiles, and comparing the autofocus system from the A9, which is, you know, a much more expensive camera than compared to this, this just does everything I needed to do for autofocusing, and that has really changed the way I shoot.
Right. And so then once we, you know, have all the prep taken care of, we're going to move on to the ceremony. So we have a lockdown shot that we always put in the back in a balcony or like in the very back if it's an outdoor wedding. So we want to make sure we have our butts covered if every other camera is doing something silly. So we are currently using the Sony AX100. This is a camcorder. It shoots in 4K. It has a 1-inch sensor. It's a really great camera. And since it's a camcorder, it's going to record continuously until your card or the battery dies.
Yes.
So
we'll set that up in the back of the ceremony and also the reception, just to cover the entire reception in case, you know, a lot of times Amber will be on 7200, I'll be on 7200. We'll be getting reaction shots, some sweet intimate moments from mom and dad, whatever, on the sidelines. And we want that big wide shot just in case while we're focused on something else, maybe something else amazing happens that we're like, oh no, but we have it covered with our other angle. So that's a really good one. Now there is another version of that we're trying to upgrade to. You remember the name of that? I'll link it down.
700, I believe.
And I think it has like the
HLG, the hybrid log camera.
right, and S-Log and things like that, and a better focusing system.
Right, so we're considering that one, but this is what we've used probably for 2 years, I think.
Quite a while.
We've been using it for a while. So then also for the ceremony, we talked about how Garrett has ADD, so we really cater to that. So during the ceremony, he's like getting reactions, he's moving around, getting different shots. So we always have on the left side of the church, we have one of our A7S2s, our trusty A7S2s we've had forever. And we generally put that, the 24-70 G Master on that. So we have a lockdown kind of wide of the front of the church, capturing the groom's reaction like during the vows and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And this gets used also more often than that.
Yes. I really like the, I'm still, you know, a fan of the A7 S2s. They have been just huge for us.
Yep.
And I really like the built-in intervalometer time-lapse app, because I do a lot of time lapses during the day. If they flip the room, if the room for the reception is the same as for the ceremony and they flip it, I'll do a ceremony time lapse, and just having that built into the camera is still really nice.
And you use that for like church B-roll as well. Like if it's a great cloud day, he'll use the time-lapse option for that. And then we also have another A7S2 that we use. If you've watched some of our videos, you'll know that we always do a slider reveal of the bride bride walking down the aisle. So we use
With
this,
her dad, yeah.
With the dad, as the bride walks down the aisle with her dad toward the groom. We always have the A7S2 with the 12 to 24. Generally, the 12 to 24. Something we've been changing it up a little bit, but if it's a really cool church
it's
or
beautiful,
something,
like a big Catholic church that is just architecture is amazing, and there's an amazing ceiling. Yeah, the 12 to 24 at 12. It's just it's the lens when you really just want to see everything. It's gorgeous. All the things. Yes.
All the things. So again, during the ceremony, I'm on the right, so the bride's side, capturing with my same exact setup I've been using. So if you'll notice, I have not changed anything about my setup the whole day. And then Garrett, whenever...
Put the ceremony right, I'll pull out my 7200, same thing, and slap it on my A7 III, and yeah, do the coverage that way as well.
Right.
And that'll lead me out to the exit, and I think I give you, if they're gonna have like an exit where they're doing confetti or something, and it's gonna be, pretty quickly, I will hand my rig off to Amber because I'm on a monopod and very mobile. She goes outside, and then I grab the gimbal, and usually with the 12 to 24 on the A7 III, go outside. So we got a tight shot of people's faces, and then I have the really wide shot of the front of the church with all the confetti or
confetti, bubbles, rose petals, things like that.
Yeah, the 7200. Oh my goodness,
yeah,
I love
is an amazing lens. And then, so what would be next? So if you're counting, I believe we have 5 cameras set up during the ceremony. So let's say now we're going to go to.
We forgot one. We forgot one.
Oh yeah.
I call this my video grenade. This is one of my new favorite toys. Well, not new, but I've had it a few months. The RX0. Just a good look at that. But this is great because I can set this in places that I normally can't be physically. So if I want, like recently I've been doing an overhead shot of the bride and her dad walking down the aisle, and I'll mount this up above them somehow, like on a little friction arm or something like that. So I have a top down shot as they walk by. Just some creative shots that I can't get myself because it's during the ceremony and I'm out doing other things. And it's just, well, if like this weekend we have a really cool getaway car that's like a 1930 something convertible. I'm probably gonna use a suction cup and mount this to the hood somewhere to get a really cool shot of them driving off. I think that'll be fun.
And a lot of times you will use this little Suray tabletop tripod, which is such a great thing to have in your kit. You just never know when you'll need something tiny like this. Sometimes you'll even use it with our lights as well.
Yes.
So that little camera or a light or something, or I mean, I think you've used it with one of the cameras with a battery, without a battery grip.
Yes.
So this little tiny little Suray tripod, and it's great for travel too. Like if you want to do long exposure or time lapse, but you don't want to bring your full tripod, this is a great little guy.
Yep.
So then going on to like photo session, that's as we were saying, Garrett, I'm again still with the 7200 on my A7R III, and generally Garrett will be on the gimbal with the A7 III with the 50 or the 12 to 24.
Yes, I'll have either the 50 on it or the 12-24, and if I don't have one, I'll have the other one in my pocket, because I really loving that 51.4, especially on the gimbal when you're going around the bride and groom as they kiss. You get that nice 50mm compression bokeh in the background, so as you're moving, the background's moving. It's like something out of a really cool movie, and I'm loving that. But if they're walking through a garden or something and it's beautiful and there's trees everywhere, I'll slap the 12 to 24 on there and get a nice walking shot of them with all of their surroundings. Right. So yeah, I love that.
And then moving on to the reception, again, I am still on my 7200. Like for the entrances, Garrett will generally be on the 12 to 24 for the entrances, because we like to use that to capture like the fun. Like it's just kind of a fun.
It's a fun lens.
Fun wide, and it like you can see everybody like clapping and having a good time and cheering. So we love to use the 12 to 24 for the entrances. And then once we go, and for B-roll we use any number of lenses, 24-70, 12 to 24. Like it doesn't matter. It just whatever we're feeling for the venue.
Yep. I again, back to the 50. When I'm shooting B-roll of the cake, slider shots of the table, decorations, I'm back on that 50.
Right.
Yeah.
And then once we go into like the toast, the speeches, the formalities of the event, we're both going to be on our 70 to 200, still me on my 70 to 200, but we're both going to be on 70 to 200s generally, like cross shooting. And then we've been having the an A7S II with the 24 to 70 kind of as a wide for the table or wherever they're sitting, like as a lockdown.
Yeah, of the bride and groom's face reactions as they, actually it's more than that. It's the face reactions of the bride and groom plus, I usually frame it wide enough to get the entire front table so you can see everybody having a good time. And that's a little tip, is that when you're shooting a wedding, don't forget, yes, bride and groom clips are very important, but don't spend all of your time shooting the bride and groom. Family members, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, those are super important VIPs you need to shoot too.
Bridal party.
Yes.
Yes.
And with the toast, if I may,
yes, that's
light.
That was the next thing.
Right, do we have the batteries in here for this?
Yep.
Okay. So these are the lights I'm currently using.
I have one battery.
My needs for a light is they have to be small, powerful, and kind of more of a spotlight and less of just a flood, illuminating the entire room. And these do a pretty good job of that. So these are remote control, pop a battery on it. They last all night. If I wanted to, I can change the color temperature. We are currently working to replace these with...
Did you say they're remote control?
I did, yes.
Oh, okay.
They are remote controlled, and I just pop them on a...
Cheetah stand.
Cheetah stand, which are really super easy to set up. And these work fairly well. The best that I've found so far. Well, I digress, but we're trying to, working towards replacing these with the Light and Motion Stella Pros. I've played with those a little bit, and I'm really excited to get my hands on those. They're a little bit bigger than this, but anyways, check them out. They're really nice, and that's what I'm hoping to switch out to.
So then for the like the formal dances, like father-daughter, bride and groom first dance, mother-son, again, I'm still on my 70 to 200. I know it's probably getting old. And then we usually have our Rhino slider on the floor with the 12 to 24 if it's a really beautiful venue. Just kind of going back and forth the whole time, just getting all three dances.
Yeah, I set it on a setting so that it has a really nice back and forth movement and tracks the subject. Not tracks, but it has that axis that turns while it's sliding, and so that'll just go back and forth during all the dances.
Right.
And then I'm again running around with the gimbal, and at that point the 50 millimeter, putting a lot of foreground in front of me, and just getting some really nice shallow depth of field shots of the bride and groom or whoever's dancing. And
then finally, you guys, I finally changed my lens. I use the 85. It's 1.2.
No, 1.4.
Oh, 1.4. Yep. Sorry, I forgot. I use the 85 1.4 G Master to capture the dancing. I mean, by that time it's fairly dark, so the 1.4 really helps. But I just like to have a different look for that part of the day. It's a little more fun. And the 85 focal length, I can get pretty close without getting my body too close to the people dancing, because sometimes they feel a little awkward if we get too close.
Yeah, because even like I handed her the other day, the 50, I said, hey, try this out for the dance floor, and the 50 millimeter was too close. People were very aware of her, and we were like, whoa, and they would stop dancing, or some people would ham it up, but most people were like, it's like you were scaring off the wildlife. So the 85, especially if you want to do the clear image zoom and the super 35 mode, you can really jump in there. And again, it's super just gorgeous bokeh on the 85.
And then the final lens we have in our kit gets used one time during the day, and that's the 90 millimeter macro 2.8.
It has one job, and it does it very, very, very well. So yeah, that's my ring shot lens, and yeah, we've had that since it came out.
We've had that since we switched to Sony for sure, which was almost 4 years ago.
Almost 4 years.
So that's the 90 millimeter macro Garrett uses for the ring shot. Mm-hmm. And so then we have a few other like general stuff.
We forgot one camera, and this one flies.
Can you believe in this case we have a drone? On the side here, there's a little pocket, and that's where our little baby drone lives. I don't fly it, Garrett does. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, this is the DJI Mavic Air, and we have the Mavic Pro, and we also have the Inspire. I love the Inspire, has great imagery, has the better sensor, larger sensor. But this thing, the convenience of having something this small, so I can literally have this in my pocket, plus still have my gimbal with me out with the creative session. And then if we want to stop and get a drone shot of the bride and groom in the shot, I can just lay my gimbal down, pull this out of my pocket, and start flying. Now, it's not great in low light, but who really shoots drones in low light? You're normally outside in the daytime. And then we also have ND filters that go with that. But I just can't say enough about how just the convenience of having something that small with you and not having to have another huge case. Yes, you're going to get a better image with like the Phantom Pro or the Inspire, but I don't think our brides and grooms are going to tell. This does a great job.
So something new we just got, and you might see us, we keep looking at because we have that second angle that's top down, is the RX100 Mark VI. This is my new little baby.
Yes.
We're gonna use that for like behind the scenes shots and things like that on a wedding day. And then also for my personal carry around camera. It's of course, a huge upgrade from my phone, but I personally don't like to carry around, even though these mirrorless cameras are very small, I personally don't like to carry them around like in my purse. Garrett does, of course, if you've ever seen that on social media, but it's something that I'm going to be carrying around on my daily life.
Like we're going to New York this weekend, and just being able to have the last trip we took to New York, I actually had the Mark V with me.
Yeah.
And I got some really cool sidewalk photography shots that I think if I had the bigger camera setup, people would kind of freak out a little bit. But because of that, and I just can't wait to play with that with the 200mm. It's going to be so cool.
24 to 200. So then, of course, we have a little blower just in case we get dust on our lens or sensor. We have a baggie full of, not full, but a baggie of batteries. The new Z batteries, if you're not aware, are amazing. They last twice as long as the old batteries. We have a Pelican case full of our memory cards. I have this little Hoodman eye cup that I put on my camera whenever we're outdoors on the EVF. I have to have this one because whenever you wear glasses, it's really hard to get your eye up to that with the glasses on. So this works perfectly. It cancels out the light and you can see your EVF very well.
Yep.
You want to go through this stuff really quickly?
Sure. The audio, part of what's hard about doing a what's in my bag is we have to record it and film it. So so we have actually two of the Tascam, we have a total of 3, but 2 of them we're wearing right now. But these are our Tascam DR10L, excuse me. These are just great for getting audio. We used to use other things, but like wireless systems, and this just
or bigger solid state recorders. And this is the smallest one that we found that has, we have a whole review about these if you look on our Gear Glasses and Gadgets channel.
What I like about these is it has an auto leveling, and I know most recorders do, but a lot of the recorders you set it on auto level, and as soon as the person stops talking, the floor noise level just goes way up as it tries to gather more noise or more audio. And with these, it has a more organic, it takes a while for it to raise up. And also it records a second track underneath the original track. So if somebody gets really loud, you have a second backup track that is several decibels lower that hopefully you can go to, and it'll save your bacon. But we have 4 of these on the day of the wedding, just for depending on, we mic the priest, we mic the groom, sometimes the bride, and then the podium if somebody's giving a toast.
We generally don't mic the bride unless it's a very windy outdoor wedding or on a beach.
Then we have the DR10X, and I use this to patch into the audio systems for the toast in the evening at the reception. And then I do have my little Alpha Universe USB charger. I use this for if our phones die, first of all. And then also with my RX0, if we have let's say a Jewish wedding or a long Catholic wedding, and I really want to make sure my battery goes the entire hour and a half, depending on how long the ceremony goes. I think we've had 2-hour ceremonies before. Almost 2 hours.
Or Indian ceremonies, which might be
South
longer.
Asian, exactly.
South Asian, yeah.
And so I will plug this into my RX0 to make sure it stays on the whole time. And I think that's about it, right?
That is about it.
Now in our canvas bag, we have 3 Sirui tripods, carbon fiber tripods. We have 2 Sirui carbon fiber monopods, and 2 of the cheetah stands that go up to about 10 foot. And the bag's about this big. About that big around. It's not light, but one person can carry everything.
Yep, I can even carry it. So you big strong guys should be able to.
Oh, I forgot a light. One light that I just gotten recently.
Oh, and we have a couple various tools in this front pocket, but here's Garrett's new light.
I love ring shots. I love lighting ring shots creatively. This is the new Luxley Cello, made by Luxy Light, and it is a great, super bright RGB light. So any color you can think of, this can duplicate. And you can control it with your phone. So if I set it up next to the ring and I want to, you know, flickering party shot look like party lights, it'll do that. It'll just do whatever I need it to, and it's just a nice bright light.
Yeah, and like if the bride and groom have a specific color for their wedding,
Yes.
Garrett can take a picture of that color with his app, the Conductor, and it will match it perfectly with the light.
It'll sample that color and recreate it and match it. And this actually happened just last week. We had a client who they had a certain color of pink that was their color, their brand color, and I was able to take a picture of it, sampled it, and plugged it in here, and
it was the perfect color.
They were impressed.
Yep.
They really were.
Yep. And so generally, I mean, to be honest, we use this whole kit for weddings, but we also use this kit for most of our commercial shoots as well. Now, a lot of the times we'll have to bring like a boom with a shotgun mic or some extra lights, but some of our most favorite commercial clients really love the fact that we can go in small and light and not disrupt what's going on in their workforce. So that is also a huge benefit of having this small kit that is easy to carry around.
And just to bookend what I said in the beginning, another advantage for me, at least personally, having a small kit, is that each item I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. So I'm not out in the field doing the creative session, and I don't have a bazillion options because Amber says I always want to do all the things, and I have to focus. So she's really good at helping me focus. But having specific jobs for a specific lens, and I know we have a lot of gear here, but going into a shoot knowing that, hey, this is for this shot and this is for this shot, there's no guesswork, there's no time lost trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and I love that.
And then finally, we want to say, if you have a lot of Sony gear, you definitely need to get on the Sony Pro Support program.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I recently just broke this exact A7R3 and the 85. It fell off of the back of my monopod as I was walking around at a wedding reception. Dismounted
Totally
the
our
lens.
fault.
It was totally my fault. Dismounted. It was not the monopod's fault. It was my fault. It dismounted the lens without me actually dismounting it. So
In pieces.
it was in pieces. It was a little stressful. We sent it into Pro Support. You can get a free loaner. Like, we got a free loaner of this exact same kit whenever it was being fixed. But
you really didn't need one because they had it back like within a week and a half. Yeah.
If they have everything in stock that they need to fix it, it's a 3-day turnaround. But if they don't, and you have to have it, if you have to have something like the next day or whatever,
they will overnight equipment to make sure you can stay working.
Yeah, so definitely get on Sony Pro Support's program. If you are a working professional, you definitely need to do that, of course, along with your regular insurance. So again, this is all we use on our wedding day, and I hope you guys learned a little something, and if you're interested in anything, make sure you just leave us a comment and ask us if you have any questions, and we'll try to link everything below so that you can find what exactly we use. But I think that's it.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching.
And LLAP, friends.